I know what the first 5 seconds of a video are considered very important, but I truly can't come up with a better hook than who even cares about Smurfs these days? The Smurfs is a Belgian comic series conceived in the 50s, and the main thing about the Smurfs is that each Smurf is named after their personality. Isn't that creative? You know, I watched some of the original Smurf cartoons as a kid, and they're fine. They're like a regular 80s cartoon, they're nothing special. And when it comes to their cultural relevance, like, I don't hear any discourse about the Smurfs. I rarely hear them referenced unless it's to ridicule their core concept. They're really just nothing to me, so tell me why Sony has made 4 Smurf movies. 4! That's the same amount as fucking Shrek! For an IP that is so simple, it's crazy that there are 4 movies, one of which came out this year. Most people know about the live-action Smurf movies, and if you haven't seen them, you know it from this gif. Then there's Smurfs: The Lost Village, which nobody has actually ever watched, and somehow it still earned $160 million. And now, 8 years later, they decided to drag the franchise out of the coffin with the new Smurfs movie. And I probably should just talk about this movie, but I've heard that the first 2 Smurf movies are awful, and I would like to be the first person to watch Smurfs: The Lost Village. So before we get to our main course, let's look at the 14 years that led up to this catastrophe.
I have ADHD as well.
Right, but because you said, that's what the Smurf is, I think you're a Smurf, alright?
Why did I do this? Nobody made me do this. But I watched it, and if I watched Smurfs 2011 for nothing, that's arguably more depressing. As I started to watch this movie, I remembered that the Smurfs theme was a thing, and I'd probably have to hear it a lot on my Smurfs journey. I'm not gonna sing it, I'm not gonna debase myself to that level, but it was at that very moment that I realized this was gonna suck. The movie starts out with a narrator explaining Smurfs and magic, and we hard cut into the world with a very unimpressive flying sequence. Is this supposed to whisk me into this land of wonder and whimsy? It doesn't. Oh, why did they have to make him look like that? Why did they make the eyes so small? Isn't it like Art 101 that things with big eyes are cuter? With these human-like eyes, they just look like goblins. We have a dance sequence of them shaking their tiny little asses. Great. Oh yeah. Plot. So we're introduced to our protagonist, Clumsy, who everyone hates because he fucks everything up all the time. Then we cut to Gargamel and whatever evil plans he's got going on. I'll be honest, Gargamel is the only legitimately good aspect of this movie. Hank Azaria really puts his all into this role that did not deserve it. One thing I don't like about Gargamel is this CGI cat. Like, I get it's supposed to be cartoonish, but I don't like cats emoting like this. A cat laughing like a human is just uncanny. What's the cat's name, anyway?
Asriel, that's your cue!
Hold on, wait. What? Anyways, back in the village, Papa Smurf has a vision of bad shit happening and tells Clumsy not to pick up any Smurf root for potions. Clumsy then completely ignores this and leads Gargamel right to the village, and then the blue moon appears to open a portal when there was clearly sunlight a second ago, and then the portal closes immediately, and now we're in New York, because every cartoon that gets a movie has to go to New York. It's just how you write a movie. You know, usually smart characters are added to groups for concocting plans or doing anything useful, but Brittany doesn't do any of that. He just makes pedantic corrections and says, according to my calculations. What a great character. You know, as we enter New York, I gotta say, the joke of substituting other words with Smurf is really starting to get on my nerves. Hope that isn't an issue moving forward. Neil Patrick Harris shows up for some boring real-world plot shit that will inevitably be solved by the Smurfs because of course it will. Clumsy falls into some business shit and the Smurfs have to follow him because plot. The Smurfs then go through Times Square and are mesmerized by the beauty of capitalism. Oh hey community. I think this is a great time to bring up that this movie killed Steve Jobs. They also introduced one of this movie's free jokes where they say that all this human stuff is fantasy stuff, like saying Elmo is a red troll. This is funny because Elmo is not a troll. The Smurfs meet with the humans and crazy hijinks. We find out that this movie is a world where the Smurf IP does actually exist. Figure that one out. You know, Neil commenting about how stupid the concept of Smurfs is actually makes him pretty likable because these fuckers have not done anything up to this point that hasn't been annoying. But the lady takes a liking to the Smurfs immediately, so they're taking care of them for now. Uh-oh, humans left. Time for the plot to move forward. The Smurfs tell Clumsy that maybe he shouldn't come along with them for the fetch quest because the only thing we've seen Clumsy do is fuck up. Clumsy is sad about this. Okay, can we skip forward some more? Smurfs being awful, M&M advertisement, plot bullshit. Grouchy wants to fuck the green M&M. This is a reference to the fact that he is the most relatable Smurf. And then we are treated with this awful scene where they throw in a Guitar Hero advertisement to stop Brainy from having a realistic panic attack, and they start rapping, and then Smurfette comes in to do a pop culture reference, and Neil doesn't know how to say niche.
Found your niche. No.
And then we get more close-up angles of these freaks. I didn't like them from afar. I'm not gonna like them when they're 2 inches away from the camera! Then Neil and Papa have a conversation about how Neil is afraid of being a dad, a conflict that has not even been alluded to up to this point. And then Papa tells Neil that he should love his kid to be a good dad, and that advice somehow changes his life. I wish Papa Smurf could tell me to follow my heart once and that would fix all my problems. I really would like those problems to be fixed. I really would. Anyways, the Smurfs go to a bookstore and read a Smurf book and basically see their god. At least it's brought up in a less obtrusive way than Garfield. Gargamel catches Papa Smurf at this bookstore and he has this powerful dragon wand and Smurf essence. Oh yeah, I forgot. Gargamel's been doing shit this whole time. He gets some of Smurfette's hair at the beginning and then makes some Smurf essence and bimbofies an old lady. This is a great movie. Big Smurf showdown, Clumsy does one thing correctly for once in his life, and hooray, the world is saved.
I've got a Smurf village to rebuild. Your village has given me some ideas.
Redlining in Smurf Village, let's fucking go! The end. Oh my god, this movie is really bad. Throughout the movie, the Smurfs do nothing to help the humans, except for one time when they put flowers in their apartment, and when Papa Smurf gives Neil the life-changing advice that he should love his kid to be a good dad. The Smurfs are never helpful to the humans' problems, except incidentally, and yet, the humans love them. I mean, the lady immediately fawns over them, but Neil isn't having it until the Smurfs are kicked out of his office for being a nuisance. Then the Smurfs run away from the lady against her will and cause trouble in a toy store, and then they have to get saved by Neil and the lady, and by the time they get home, Neil may as well be the #1 Smurfs fan. I mean, I guess he had to play nice with them for his product placement. At the end of the movie, we're talking about how lucky they were to meet the Smurfs and how much they taught them, and they've been nothing but a pain 90% of the time. The Smurfs are a fucking brain parasite, and these two are infected. Fuck this movie, 3 out of 10. But don't worry, we haven't seen the last of these ugly, ugly freaks.
Papa Smurf didn't create Smurfette, Gargamel did. She was sent in as Gargamel's evil spy with the intention of destroying the Smurf village, but the overwhelming goodness of the Smurf way of life transformed her.
You know, after the travesty of the movie I just saw, I was surprised that it got a sequel. Then I found out that it made $560 million in box office and is the 218th highest grossing movie of all time. I love general audiences. Preamble won't make this any less painful, let's just go for it. You know, I forgot to mention, the narration at the beginning of these movies is actually done in-world by the character narrator Smurf, and that's not a bad bit. What is bad is how all the Smurfs are so fucking horny for Smurfette, I don't like it! Anyways, the narrator explains how Smurfette is a creation by Gargamel, we all know this, and then the moral of the film is stated in plain English 5 minutes in.
It doesn't matter where you came from. What matters is who you choose to be.
We then hard cut to the real world where we see Gargamel, who has become a successful stage magician. You know, I can appreciate that the movie remembers that Gargamel extracted all that Smurf essence from Papa Smurf. What the fuck am I doing, man? Is this what my life has come to? Talking about fucking Smurf essence? Jesus Christ, I'm a fraud. I truly cannot understate that Gargamel is just straight up the only good aspect of this movie. Like, his whole stage magician shtick is him being the abrasive asshole he normally is, bickering with the audience and stuff like that. But because he's genuinely magic, it gets played off by the audience that it's all scripted. It's actually really clever. But don't worry, all that good writing gets undercut by some Facebook product placement and the 2 new gray Smurfs that Gargamel made that are definitely not annoying. The Smurfs decide not to pay attention to Smurfette on her birthday because they don't want to ruin the surprise party, and that makes Smurfette think that they don't care about her. This is such a contrived plot point that I actually can't muster any anger towards it.
I don't want to be around anymore.
It reminds me of the tube show that Eddie Burback talked about, and that makes sense because this movie is also for babies. We cut to the real world with the humans who named their kid Blue and made a mushroom-themed cake, and let's remember, this is the extent that the Smurfs have not been a burden on the humans, and they worship them! We meet Neil's stepdad, who will be the centerpiece of the boring human drama. Gargamel makes a portal to the Smurf world and gets the goth chick to kidnap Smurfette. The Smurfs want to save Smurfette, but Clumsy fucks everything up, and the Crystal Ex Machina sends the previous cast to New York minus the Scottish stereotype and the fucking nerd. The Smurfs inform the humans of the situation, and they drop everything to fly to France to get her, because of course they would. Smurfette isn't budging on whatever Gargamel wants. Then we find out that Vexy is actually a semi-competent competent villain and is actually able to somewhat manipulate Smurfette into being bad. Smurfette gets corrupted, and the Smurfs are able to see it because of hijinks reasons, but Stepdad turns into a duck, by the way. And did you know that Papa Smurf's voice actor had his family killed in front of him to get this level of emotion? Oh good, the movie is giving MLK Duck references. We are so fucking back, baby.
What are you, Martin Luther Wing?
And then the last 40 minutes of the movie happen. There's not much to say about it, really. The end. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but Smurfs 2 is slightly better than Smurfs 1. It's not a good movie, but it makes Gargamel and Co. actually intimidating, which I think is important because in the first movie, Gargamel's a bumbling dumbass who falls ass backwards into power. Which is fine, but if your heroes are almost getting defeated by a bumbling dumbass, then that makes the Smurfs also dumb, which they are, but the movie wants us to think that they're not. And just... Gargamel is a better villain in this one, but we don't get to see him bimbofy any women, so it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The plot doesn't feel like nothing, the human drama is less boring than the first. I know I spent less time talking about this movie, but that's because there really isn't anything interesting to say about it. Am I supposed to talk about the scene where Neil and his stepdad set aside their differences and break the big machine? Like, it's not that interesting. Whenever the movie isn't actively being bad, it's just kind of boring. Don't get me wrong. It's still bad a good portion of the time. The drama of Smurfette feeling like she doesn't belong stems from this interaction where Smurfette gets iced once and now she thinks the whole village hates her or something. The kid only seems to be here for continuity reasons because he doesn't do anything. Whatever. 4 out of 10. I just wanted to change the angle. I was getting tired of standing in front of that green screen, and this Sum Up Doom poster doesn't get to be in enough of my videos. So yeah. Anyways, this movie is really boring. Like, really boring. I'm not even gonna give you a play-by-play, just a quick synopsis. This movie is about Smurfette and her being different from the Smurfs because she doesn't have a trait in her name. It's almost like Smurfette is the only character that's half interesting in this world, and making a movie about a Smurf like, I don't know, clumsy is stupid. Anyway, Smurfette is feeling sad about being useless and goes Smurfboarding. And she finds a different weird Smurf before getting captured by Gargamel and such. They escape and Smurfette and Co get grounded by Papa and then sneak out to find the lost village anyway. Stuff happens and look, they find some kind of Smurfs the Lost Village. We're Smurfs now, and there's a lost village of us. And we're all girls. Gargamel shows up, blah blah blah. Smurfette turns back into clay, and the entire time I was saying out loud, please have her actually be dead. Please cut to the credits. Please, it'd be so funny. No! Then the movie ends with a happily ever after. Disappointingly. This honestly is the blandest movie I've ever seen. Here's the pros and cons list. Pro. Brainy isn't just here to say according to my calculations, he actually does stuff that's useful to the plot. Also, he's played by Danny Pudi. Neat. Con. Brainy has a little bug homunculus who also doubles as a phone. That means we have the cutesy sidekick who also can take selfies. Isn't that lit?
We tweeted ours.
Pro. Gargamel's team is actually pretty foreboding in this movie. They have a vulture who's cool, and they're actually dangerous. With the issue of con, Rainn Wilson's performance is completely inferior to the live-action movies. I cannot stress enough that Hank Azaria left pretty big shoes to fill with Gargamel. He was legitimately funny, but Rainn just can't nail it. He doesn't put on a voice, a bunch of the pizzazz is gone, it's just not as good. Pro, the art style isn't ugly. It looks kinda okay. It's easier to look at than this. Con. There's still forced straightness in this movie. Hefty is constantly flirting with Smurfette, although I'm glad that they didn't take this plot point to the forefront because that would be absurd. But also Papa and this lady meet and immediately seem into each other. It's not as egregious as the straightness in the live action movies, but also it's 2017, it's the age of Tumblr wokeness. You can't get away with this anymore. It's so simple. Either have gay Smurfs or have them be asexual, which they canonically are. Overall, this movie is just bland. A plain piece of uncooked Wonder Bread. It's so mediocre that I had a more difficult time watching it than the live action ones, because you can marvel at the shittiness of the live action movies. You can't really marvel at mediocrity. I'm proud to be the first human to ever see this movie, except for maybe Shea Frillis. 5 out of 10.
What is wrong with you? Why are you blue?
Finally, the movie that came out this year. Before we get into it, I want to talk about some of the promotion for this movie because... What the fuck? When the first trailer released, the internet didn't care about it. Except for one thing.
Influencer.
Smash that subscribe button!
This is one of the most ridiculous attempts to pander to children I've ever seen. This sucks. This is fucking awful. And most of the internet agreed, and people decided that they would pretend that influencer Smurf groomed minors. That's really the only thing I care about with the trailer. The second thing I want to talk to you about are these character portraits, and let me just read some of them to you. Rihanna is Smurfette. Blonde hair, don't care. James Corden, blue kid on the block. John Goodman is Papa Smurf. Papa like it's hot. Nick Offerman is Ken. Love that Kenergy. Daniel Levy is Joel. He's so cringe. Okay, let's just talk about the movie. So we start off the movie with a large list of retcons. Smurfs can't do magic, there's an evil cabal of wizards that want to get these 4 magic books, and one of the books named Jaunty Grimoire ran away to get protected by the Smurfs. This is already dumber than I anticipated. Oh, he's dead. You know what? Good. I'm glad. Our main character is a Smurf named No Name, who is aimless because they have no descriptor in their name. This is basically a rehashing of The Lost Village, but instead of Smurfette, they invented a James Corden Smurf. You know, a joke they use a lot in these movies is having some of the Smurfs be jokes in and of themselves. And the only way to elevate the joke is to have more and more specific Smurfs. So having shit like Out of Focus Smurf and Way Back There Smurf is an elevation on the other movie Smurf because, oh my gosh, it's just so crazy. The problem is it isn't funny. And the movie really likes to lean on these jokes. They really play into it, and I don't think it's good. Something I will say is good is that it looks better than The Lost Village because in The Lost Village you could see their 2 eyeballs in their big eye socket, and I didn't like that. But in this one it looks a lot flatter, which is genuinely a compliment because that's how the source material looks. Oh, it's a musical. Fuck. No. You know, for someone who is cast in every single musical, James Corden is not that impressive of a singer. James Corden Smurf is really sad that he doesn't have magic, so he makes a wish and gets magic. We then cut to the evil villain, Razamel, Gargamel's brother. You know what? You know what? Sure. Anyways, because James does too much magic, Papa Smurf gets kidnapped and tells the Smurfs to find Ken. They get sent to the real world because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Wait, it was broke? Why didn't you say that in the first place? We get a funny Zoom video call reference from Razamel. This is funny because it's from the real world. He also says that he has podcast microphones. Do I even need to do a commentary anymore, or can I just list things that happened in the movie and then you come up with your own jokes?
Yes, reunited and it feels so good.
Razamel is the part of the plot bullshit from the beginning. That's all you need to know. Smurfs are in the real world and in peril and need to get rescued by a bunch of rogue Smurfs. Yeah, okay, my brain's melting.
What is going on?
And the humans don't see the phalanx of Smurfs because they're on their damn phone. I'm gonna stop mentioning every time something is how do you do fellow kids or a pop culture reference or I will be here forever.
I've probably personally smurfed more than you ever smurf.
That sounds like a load of Smurf. Can you smurf that Smurf up?
We meet Ken and learn some plot shit. James tries to use magic to rescue Papa and it fails, and then we meet these snooter poop creatures. Okay, I'm just gonna skip through all this. Smurfs get kidnapped except for these 2, and they go to Roswell's castle in this old car. The crew sneaks into the castle through a delivery app because I guess Smurfette knows about delivery apps. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to be product placement for a company, so minus 99 points instead of 100. Wow, big twist. Turns out Jaunty Grimoire was hiding under James's hat the whole time. I was genuinely not expecting this twist, especially given the fact that we see them like 10 feet away from James before he casts magic. What a fucking asshole! Razamel takes the book and we get a third act forced conflict of Smurfette being destined for evil. God, this movie is stupid! Smurfs and Gargamel team up to work together to take down Razamel. Wow, so interesting. We get to the finale and they do this thing where they change art styles as they go through this dimensional door, and I would be impressed if this wasn't in every multiverse movie. I can appreciate the effort that was put into this, but I don't think it's creative anymore. It's being done far too much. James gets magic and saves the day. The end. Fuck, this movie is so awful. I was genuinely surprised with how bad this was, because The Lost Village was just meh, and I thought at the very least they could hit that mark again, but no! This movie is so bad! They don't know who the main character of the movie is. Well, they do, it's No Name. But at the very end, they also want Smurfette to have an arc out of nowhere! Most of the advertising for this movie is that Rihanna is Smurfette, and can I be honest? Rihanna isn't that good of a voice actress. I mean, she's passable, and she doesn't have to be good at it, she's fucking Rihanna. Honestly, the two people who I thought did a good job with their voice acting were a voice actor and a lesser known actor. It's almost like if we want good vocal performances, we should hire fucking voice actors instead of celebrities. Wow, what a goddamn concept! John Goodman was decent, although he doesn't hold a candle to the live action Papa Smurf, who I really didn't give enough credit. He was legitimately good. Sandra Oh was fine, Kurt Russell was eh, James Corden should die. The dialogue in this movie is really fucking bad. Like, it fails to bring out any emotion in me except the feeling of being hollow, because that's what this movie is. It's hollow. The protagonists are an odd one out who learns to fit in after going through a magical adventure, and Smurfette, who basically goes through the same arc she did in The Lost Village, which wasn't even that good. I didn't want to watch it again. And speaking of The Lost Village, Smurfette and No Name, you put it together and you just get Smurfette's character arcs in The Lost Village. This is the same movie! And the rest of the characters are never expanded on. They're used for jokes, and that's it. This is not an ensemble movie like the others. It is Smurfette and James Corden versus Rosamel. Gargamel barely gets to do fucking anything. This movie is a musical, and I do not remember a second of a single song. The moment they started singing, my eyes would just glaze over. The movie has the going to the real world thing that the live action movies did, but they don't do anything with it. They get chased by some dogs, they go into a disco ball, and for pretty much the rest of the movie, it is not a factor. And that's 30 minutes into the movie! So I need to ask, why did they need to go into the real world? It feels like the people at Smurfs HQ saw that $500 million box office and is like, if we want this movie to make money, we need them to go to the real world. But then took out any of the quote-unquote appeal of it by doing nothing! It's embarrassing! This whole thing is embarrassing! I am shocked, genuinely shocked, that it is this bad. 2.5 out of 10. What? A conclusion for the Smurfs? What do you want me to say? I mean, I guess I can answer the hook. Who even cares about Smurfs anymore? The answer is Europeans. Honestly, according to the box office of all of these movies, Smurfs has always been a bigger hit in the international markets. Every day I've worked on this video, I have gotten upset by the fact that Smurfs 2025 made back its budget. Thankfully, it didn't do that in the American markets, but I wanted it to flop hard, and it made back almost double its budget. The second thing I learned in this journey was that Smurfs seems to have always been a Hollywood celebrity orgy. Like, ever since the 2011 movie, it's mostly been celebrity voice actors, and I think that's why people watch these. Like, Danny Pudi is likable, and he's playing Brainy in the new Smurf movie. Don't you want to watch it to support him? It's not like the Smurf world is all that interesting. It's actually really not. It's probably the most basic concept you can come up with for a world. Little blue creatures who all act like what their names are and are antagonized by an evil wizard is not this crazy concept with a bunch of creative ways to handle it. That's the main reason why I'm confused that there's 4 fucking movies. How can you constantly rehash an IP that's this nothing? If you watched this video and somehow felt inspired to watch the Smurf movies, don't. These are all really boring, and the bad ones don't even have the dignity to be so bad it's good. That's all I can really muster with the Smurfs. I can't even bring myself to hate them because I don't feel anything about them. They're just kind of nothing to me. Although I do hate that Guitar Hero scene. Fuck that scene. The Smurfs held absolutely zero space in my brain before making this video, and will hold 0 space after. And even writing and making this video, I don't care about them. I can ham it up and get mad for the video because these are supposed to be entertaining, but I do not give a shit about the Smurfs. If every piece of Smurf media disappeared tomorrow, I'd move on and probably forget about it. Whatever, man. I'm done. I don't want to think about Smurfs, I don't want to see Smurfs, and I don't want to say the word Smurf again. Ever! Hello, welcome to the outro. At the risk of giving you too many details about the production of this video, this is my second time recording this because for the first time, I spoke for way too long. I don't really have anything to talk about with the video. I think there's nothing for me to clarify. I think it turned out good enough. Production was pretty normal. the big thing I want to address is the question that might have been looming over this whole video. Why did I do this? Because I can hem and haw about how I don't care about the Smurfs all day, but I still wrote, recorded, and edited 22 minutes of me shitting on the Smurfs. And if I don't care about them, then why did I do this? Originally, the idea for this video was just going to be talking about the new Smurfs movie, because I saw Influencer Smurf and I was like, wow, this movie's going to suck. Someone's got to talk about it. I could talk about it. I could be the guy who talks about new, soulless, shitty movies. I've already done that with the Minecraft movie. This is going to be my new thing. And then I was like, the live-action Smurf movies, I watched them as a kid, and they are bad. They're probably even so bad it's good. It's going to be so fun watching these stupid, bad movies. And it wasn't. They were just bad, but I didn't know about it at this point. And then I was like, if I'm gonna watch 3 out of the 4 Smurf movies, I may as well also watch Smurfs The Lost Village. Originally, this video was supposed to come out in August, closer to the release of the new Smurfs movie, but then I was talking to a friend about, you know, YouTube, and he was like, how about instead of making a video about the Smurfs that no one gives a shit about, you make a video about your greatest fucking passion at this point in time? And I was like, you know what? That's a great idea. And then I made the Deltarune video, and I loved that video. It's the most passion I've ever put into a video because it's one of my fucking greatest hyperfixations. I fucking love Deltarune. Happy 10th anniversary of Undertale the day this is posted. So I'm watching the Smurf movies, gathering research, and when I watched the live action ones, I was like, wow, these are just bad. They're not so bad it's good. There's no funny clips I can play from them except for like 2 because they just suck ass. But the problem is, if I watched the live action Smurf movies and didn't even talk about them because they were just too bad, that's worse because then I just wasted my time. So I kept that segment in the video out of spite. And then as I was making this video, I was like, hold on, wait. I don't care about the Smurfs. Why am I doing this? And then the big reason came to light. The reason I made this video is to see if I could make a video about something I'm not interested about. I went from Deltarune, the most passion I've ever felt while making a video, to this, something I don't care about. And I think this video answers the question. Yeah, I can do it. I think the video turned out good for something I don't really give a shit about. But I do know that if there's any video that's gonna lose me subscribers, it's gonna be this one. And to talk to those people who are thinking of unsubscribing, please don't. There are more GUG on-brand videos coming down the line, you know? And I probably won't do something like this again because, you know, maybe I'll talk about shitty current movies, but it's not like I'm gonna talk about, you know, a movie made 14 years ago. No one needs to hear that. So this is probably gonna be an anomaly of a video on my channel. Yeah, if you liked this video, subscribe for more videos that aren't like this, that are different from this video. Also, I need to mention that I've been recording on a new phone, and it turns out that that phone had HDR on while recording, which really blew out my colors in my editing software. And you might have noticed that they look a little bit weird, but I've fixed that. It's normal now. So yeah, I'm really happy that Apple automatically turns on HDR, which only works on their devices and looks bad on everything else. It's good looking out, buddy. Yeah. Bye.